Hi everyone, welcome to the Ultimate Nation. I have the pleasure of being joined by Cassie Swafford and Jimmy Mickle, your 2014 Callahan winners and national champions. Cassie, Jimmy, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. As a quick reminder, if you're watching this, if you use the Twitter hashtag Ultimate Nation, we are monitoring that, and send your questions there, and maybe we'll ask your question on the air. We'll start with some questions from us first. Let's talk about this most recent season. I mean, you both started winning a U23 gold medal. Your teams won the national championship. You both won the Callahan Award. Kind of a perfect season.
Yeah.
I'll go through some questions about each of those elements first, but I kind of want to know what's next. I know, Jimmy, you have the U.S. Open and WCC. Cassie, what are you doing this summer and fall?
I'll be playing with a mixed team in Columbus, Ohio called Santa Maria. So we should have a pretty good run at regionals, hopefully, and the goal is to make it to club nationals for the first time.
That's great. And Jimmy, what are you most looking forward to this summer?
Yeah, like you said, the U.S. Open is coming up next weekend, and then Worlds in Italy. So looking forward to both of those.
That's great. So I want to back up a little bit to U23, and partially because we just announced a call for coaches for the 2015 U23 teams. Talk about a little bit about that experience and what that experience of playing on a team with people who you probably later faced in the college season, how that impacted your college season.
Well, it was a really cool experience. You know, we'd both done U20 several years ago, but U23 was different because now you're playing with a bunch of players that you've seen regularly throughout college. And so some of it was really interesting because it's a lot of players coming from a lot of different teams that have faced each other in big games before. So it was really fun to make friendships and kind of learn from all of these really talented college players.
Yeah, and going off that, I thought it was also cool, along with the U.S. players and seeing them grow from U20 to U23, being able to play against some of the same players from other teams that we saw at U20, to play against them at U23 and kind of see how much other countries are developing too. So I thought it went both ways, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. So moving on to your storybook seasons in the college division. One question that comes to mind is, at what point in time did you individually believe without a doubt that your team was going to win?
I'm not sure I ever believed without a doubt that we were going to win. I had a lot of confidence in our team and the direction we were heading all season and our goals and what we had to do to accomplish those. But I'm also I wasn't new to nationals. I knew that no matter how good of a team you're on, other teams can show up and ruin your day at any time. So we definitely had confidence, but I'm not sure there was ever a point where, beyond any doubt, we were going to win, except for when we scored the final goal, I guess. So.
Yeah, and I completely agree there. We were new to the finals. We're still fairly new to nationals. We really haven't been on a big stage before, and I totally believed in our team and knew that we could do it, but it was a matter of going out and playing like we knew we needed to play. And I really didn't believe it until the last point. Maybe like 14-11 I started to get my hopes up, but definitely the last point.
And I guess thinking about the next year, I mean, both of your teams are graduating a lot of talent. Who do you think are the individuals to look out for who might be the Callahan nominees for your team next year, for your programs that you graduated from next year?
Well, we've got a lot of really good players coming in next year. Stevie Miller and Jenna Galetta, two big names that were making big plays at college nationals this year, will be leading the team. They're both really, really solid players. Jenna's got as much experience as me, and Stevie's an incredible athlete. Elaine Wetley, who came in this year as a rookie and just kind of blew up at nationals, she'll make some big strides. And we've got a couple of really good juniors girls coming in that in the next couple of years hopefully will be, next year they will already be playing a big role in the team, I think.
Yeah, I think that we also graduating a lot of players, but I know we have a lot of younger players who are going to step up in the coming years. I'm sure everyone's heard Stanley Peterson kind of made a name for himself at Nationals this year, but has been phenomenal for us for the last couple of years. And Pavel Giannis, really solid handler that's going to keep doing his thing. He'll be a senior next year, both of those guys. So imagine them being leaders of the team. So
Nice. And I'm going to ask one more question before we move on to questions people have sent in. And just a reminder, you use the Twitter hashtag #UltimateNation, and maybe we'll ask your question on the air. So the obligatory Callahan question, I guess. The Callahan Award is about more than being a great player. There is a spirit of the game component to it. How did it personally feel to have that type of peer recognition, and what does spirit of the game mean to you?
I thought it was really cool to get that peer recognition, I guess. It's cool to get the award based on achievements on the field, but to also have spirit of the game as part of it was really cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. In a pool of so many talented players, it's a huge honor, and you almost feel like you don't deserve it because there's so many good players out there. And it means a lot to know that other people, kind of believe in what you're doing, and beyond just like actually the plays on the field.
And as a follow-up question, our first question I'm answering comes from David, H211ACCT, who asks, where do you currently have your Callahan Award?
Mine is at my parents' house in Ohio.
Mine is sitting on my desk at home in Boulder, so nothing too fancy.
Nice. Thank you, David, for your question. We'll move on to another question. This is also for both of you. This is from Terra Ultimate, who asks, how do you mentally prepare yourself before a big game?
There's a couple things I like to do. A lot of the time I listen to music, which kind of helps me drown out any outside noise. Along with that, I kind of like to joke around with my teammates, not take it too seriously. Remember that we're just playing frisbee. So try to do both of those things. It's like a mix of staying focused but also staying loose.
Yeah, I get pretty nervous in days leading up to big games, or like days leading up to regionals, nationals. But right before the game, we just try to enjoy being there with my teammates. And one of my best memories from nationals is right before the finals game. We got into the stadium like way before anybody else, and we just were sitting under the bleachers listening to music. Like, we definitely did not need to be there that early, but we just kind of were all hanging out, just dancing, laughing, making some really good memories with the last moments for that 2014 team.
That's great. Well, on a related note about music, we have a question from Jolene Chang, who asks, what's your go-to pump-up song for a big game?
I don't think I have like one pump-up song. We had like Up, Up, and Away, which was our big song when we made nationals the first year that will always remind me of that. But really any mashup or anything that keeps the beat keeps moving, I guess.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't have a particular go-to song, but I'm pretty into any of the pop music. So I would say anything that's ever been in the top 40, I'm pretty willing to listen to. So.
Nice. So we're moving on to another question. This is for you, Jimmy, from Ian Toner, who asks, can you give us an update on the number 8 5-year plan? Is that Paul Janis? Is that who he's asking about? Oh, we lost Jimmy. That's too bad. Well, we'll put that question on hold, and Cassie, I'll ask some specific ones to you while we try to get Jimmy back on the show. Bear with me just one moment. Actually, I have one random question. So I was trying to research some questions to ask you, and I discovered a 2009 Columbus Dispatch Q&A. Oh, when you were a basketball player in high school.
Yeah.
One of the questions is your favorite thing to cook, and you said a Pop-Tart. I guess I'm wondering if all the years in college you've expanded your culinary repertoire.
Not really. That's terrible that still is up there. No, I love Pop-Tarts, and I will still cook them anytime. I'm working on it, though. Now that I'm out of college, I have to try to feed myself a little bit better. And I certainly tried to eat a little bit healthier around the big parts of the Ultimate season, but it's an area of an improvement for me.
Nice.
I promise I didn't run away. I just.
Sorry, we have Jimmy back. That's great. Jimmy, we'll get back to the question that we asked you in a second. We were learning about Cassie's culinary skills. But yeah, Cassie, maybe you should read the nutrition articles from our magazine.
Yeah.
But what's her name?
Very informative.
From Katie Harris. Sorry. So back to the question for Jimmy. I'm not even sure what Ian was specifically asking, but do you know what he was asking?
Yeah, he was actually, it's kind of an inside joke we had on the U23 team about a girl I guess I thought was cute on a different team. So the plan is still in action, so I'd like to kind of keep it under wraps for now.
Okay, we'll keep it at that. So let's talk about, go to some more questions from people who've tweeted them in. This one is from Josh Ding, and he asks, what's the biggest thing you've learned that made a huge improvement in your playing ability?
Oh, go ahead.
I guess I would say kind of a commitment outside of normal practice to improving things that I wasn't good at. So I'd kind of try to recognize like throws that I was uncomfortable throwing in games or something like that, and working on them specifically outside of practice definitely helped me to feel more comfortable with specific throws or things in a game.
Yeah, and I would say my struggles usually are more mental. I'm really tough on myself, tough on my team. So I think I remember at U20 tryouts, Miranda Roth pulling me aside one time and just being like, go be the cutter. Just go out and do it because I know you can do it. And I, up until that point, I hadn't really believed in myself all that much or really thought that I could, get open against some of the other top players in the country. And so, once somebody that you look up to and you respect gives you that kind of advice, then you really take it to heart and start to believe it a lot more.
Interesting. As a follow-up, Cassie, I mean, it sounds like Miranda made a big impact on you at those tryouts.
Yeah.
We all have had people in our playing careers who have inspired us and been a big influence on us. So which players have been the biggest influence on the type of player you are?
Which players that I've played with, or
coaching, or?
Well, Paige Soper and I think learned how to play together, and we really influenced each other's play a lot. I learned a lot from my coach, Deanna Ball, one of my coaches, as a leader. When I was a freshman, all of Fever really looked up to Georgia Bosher, which is kind of like embarrassing to admit that now that we kind of talked about her and thought she was super cool. But we did. We watched her and we're just like, someday we want to be like her. So.
And you, Jimmy?
Yeah.
It's kind of been a mix of coaches I've had, players I've played with. I would say that my college coach, Jim Shetler, has had a huge impact as a good role model as a player and how to deal with situations on the field and how to work towards things off the field. So he's probably been the biggest influence of anyone, pushing me towards achieving my personal goals and also our goals as a team.
Great. We're going to go to another question tweeted in. This is from Stephen Hubbard, who asks, how did your time with the U23 teams affect how you compete against college teams with U23 teammates on them?
I would say that playing with those guys at U23 and then playing against them in college kind of ups the level of respect you have for another team. When you kind of know someone personally on different teams, you're, I guess, more likely to treat them with respect and fairness. Not that you don't try to do that towards everyone, but when you know someone on a team, it definitely helps that cause, and know that they don't have ill intentions when they make a call or something like that. So I definitely think that's part of the reason that spirit of the game has gotten better in the last few years in the college game, is a lot of the players that are playing against each other have been teammates before in the past.
Yeah, I completely echo that. You get to know the person behind the player, and when somebody makes a big play on the opposing team that has been your teammate in the past, you almost want to be like, hey, that was an awesome play. That was really good. I remember when you did that on the team that we played together. So I certainly you get to know a player, and it maybe gives you a leg up strategy-wise because you know what to expect. But I mean, with technology out nowadays, I think there's scouting anyway. But I don't know. I think respect is probably the biggest thing.
And I'm sure that'll continue on in years to come as you continue to play against your former teammates in the club series. We're going to move on to another question. Let's go to the one this is from Marcus on Twitter, who asked, what's your opinion on developing players throwing high-release forehands and backhands? Are they developing poor mechanics?
That's a tough question. I think that, and I don't know that I'm the best to answer this question, but I think it depends on the player. I think about some of the players on our teams who just really picked up throwing well. Like Paige Zipper, when she was a rookie, she just picked up throwing like it was like she'd been doing it her whole life, and she was easily throwing low releases in with her normal release throws just from innately almost. But there are certainly some players who, you've got to work on their just normal backhands and forehands first. You don't want them to potentially change their form. So I think I would take it more on a case-by-case basis, I guess.
Yeah, I think my feelings around it is there's kind of a difference between someone learning new release points and someone being lazy with their throws or something. So I would never try to discourage someone from throwing something a little unconventionally or from a different release point, because I think it's really helpful to be able to do that. But I also think there's a time and place to do that, and a time and place to throw a normal driven throw or something like that.
Nice. We have time probably for a few more questions. This is one just for you, Jimmy, and probably also an inside joke that I don't know about. From David, H221ACCT, who asks, did you ever win your school's spelling bee?
I did not win my school spelling bee. I'm not
sorry about that.
If it's an inside joke, I might have forgotten about it, but I'm not a great speller, so no.
I think it's an inside joke because I won a spelling bee.
Oh boy.
So I think that's it's okay. Don't feel bad.
Okay, so I have a general question, and there are a lot of probably youth players that maybe watch this over the next week and probably look up to both of you. And so for them, what advice would you give players entering college on how to be a successful student athlete?
Well, there's definitely a balance. You can't just sell your life to Frisbee, but you also have to know that you're making that one of your main commitments, and it changes from team to team. If you're playing for a team that is going to want to compete at the highest levels, they're probably going to ask more of you, and so you have to align with that right away. And I think that the older players are pretty good at helping younger players transition into college, and there's some leniency in the beginning when you're certainly trying to figure out how to be in college, let alone how to play college ultimate. But I think my biggest advice would be to just stick with it, enjoy it for all of the moments. There are definitely some tough times. You'll probably feel burned out at least once a season, but you look back at the end and you know that it's all worth it.
Yeah, going off that, I would say that I don't know, you kind of make time for things that matter to you. So if school and Frisbee matter, I am a pretty big believer that there's time to do both, and that you might have to cut out some other activities. You might not be able to go skiing as much or do other things that you like. But and I always felt that Ultimate gave me a chance to, I don't know, it almost helped me in school sometimes because I could work hard on an assignment for a few hours knowing I had practice that night or something to look forward to. And definitely time management is important when you know that you're going to be gone for a weekend, and no matter how much homework you bring, you're probably not going to get any of it done. So kind of working ahead, and take advice from the older players on the team because they've been doing it for a while.
Great. We have another question. It's from Jonathan Mast. He asks, how do you tend to work out and train for Ultimate?
Let's see. My training regimen kind of changes whether I'm in season or not. So when I'm during the school year, when I'm busy with school and we have practice and conditioning 4 or 5 times a week, I'm definitely still trying to get in the weight room and stuff, but it's for a shorter period of time to try not to destroy my body. Whereas in the summer or something where I'm not doing as much, I could kind of do longer workouts. But I would recommend getting with someone. There's a former Mauver player, Chris Wykus, who is a personal trainer now, who helps us a lot. So I would say best advice is to find someone who knows what they're talking about and don't just guess with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I definitely have a hard time motivating myself to work out individually. So I think that working out with your teammates is typically more rewarding. We actually just put in a new fitness director, a new leadership position last year for fitness directors that kind of dictated what we did throughout the season, and left, it added some more structure and left it less up to us and more up to those leaders of what we were going to do. I think at the beginning it's, just making sure that you're in the right cardio shape, and then, doing some lifting in the winter months, and then moving into more sprint workouts. But I think that the teammates are the ones that really motivate you to work harder.
Well, that's good advice. I think we're about to wrap it up. I guess I have one more question for you, Jimmy. You seem to have been one of the first players to have his own hashtag. Micklemania seems to date back at least to your Next Gen bus tour days. I'm just curious, what do you think about Micklemania as a hashtag, and what does your sister think of that?
It's pretty funny. I know my sister, I think her team tried to create her own hashtag because they were tired of me stealing all her thunder. But it was kind of funny how it all started. 5 Ultimate was sending our team some shorts that some high schoolers had won for us, and on one of the shorts they just printed hashtag Micklemania, and that was kind of the origin of it all. And then everyone kind of just took off with it from there. I guess it's pretty funny, but sometimes it's annoying when everyone's yelling it and I'm trying to play, but that's all right.
Well, Jimmy and Cassie, any parting thoughts from either of you?
Nope. I don't think so.
No, well, thanks for having us.
Oh yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us. For everyone, we're probably going to do another show sometime after the U.S. Open. We're always open for ideas of who you'd like to hear from and what type of shows you'd like to see. So send in your thoughts and ideas to #UltimateNation. Jimmy, Cassie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.